Hey guys, welcome back to your YouTube homework review. This week we're going over mean, median, mode, and range on the front, and then also fraction unit rates on the back. So this might be easy for you if you finish part A, but here's another tutorial if you need it. When we're looking for the mean of a data set, what we're going to do is we're going to first find the sum of all the numbers in the data set, which means we're going to take all of the numbers and add them up any way we can to get the sum. And then when we find the sum, we're going to divide by the total number of numbers. So when you add each of these numbers up, you should get a sum of 60. And then from there, we figure out that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different numbers in the data set. So that's the number we're going to divide by. And 60 divided by 6 is exactly 10. So in this problem, the mean is 10. Then, to find the median, what we need to do is we need to take these numbers and put them in size order. So I see we have a 6 and a 6. Those are the smallest numbers. The next largest one is an 8. Then we have two 10s. And then we have a 20. And to find the median, we're going to look for the exact middle of this data set. So we have the 6 and the 20, the 6 and the 10. In the middle, we have these two numbers, and when that happens, we see if we can go right in the middle of the two of them. And it turns out between 8 and 10 would be 9. So the median in this problem is 9. Alright, and then the mode is whatever numbers show up the most. So in this problem, I see that we have two 10s, but then we also have two 6s. So in this problem, there are two modes. We would say that the mode is 6 and the mode is 10. Finally, for the range is like how spread out the numbers are, and you find that by figuring out the difference between the largest number, or the maximum, subtracted by the smallest number, or the minimum. So the maximum number here is 20, and the minimum number here is 6. And if you do that, 20 minus 6, you should get 14. So hopefully the mean, median, mode, and range, that made sense to you, and if you were confused, you should be able to get number 2 on your own. Alright, so on the back, the learning target is the same as yesterday. I can find unit rates involving fractions using ratio tables and other strategies. And I'm going to show 3 separate strategies. If you're confused, pay attention to them all and then just pick one that you think makes the most sense. So this problem says Josefina read 30 pages in 1 1/4 hours. At this rate, how many pages does she read per hour? So I see pages in hours. I see these two different units, and I know I can set that up in a ratio table because 30 pages to 1 1/4 hours, that's a ratio, and it just helps to put that in a ratio table. So we have pages, and we have hours, and then we have 30 pages is how much Josefina reads in 1 1/4 hour. Alright, and then going back to the problem, it says, at this rate, how many pages does she read per hour? So you really have to think here. We're not going to put a 1 up here, because that would be like the number of hours per page. Instead, it wants the number of pages, so we don't know the number of pages per hour, so we're looking for 1 hour. Once we have this set up, we have a ton of options for finding 1 hour. One would be to divide 1 1/4 by itself, because anything divided by itself is just 1. So we have 30 divided by 1 1/4, and then 1 1/4, if I were to imagine taking two wholes and breaking them into fourths, the 1 whole is exactly 4/4, and the extra 1/4 would make the extra 1/4 would make it a total of 5/4. So we have 30 divided by 5/4. Then we can multiply by the inverse. And the inverse of 5/4 is 4/5. And then 30 times 4/5, well, we just have to multiply 30 by the 4, which would give 120/5. And then from there, we could just do 120 divided by 5 to figure out how many pages Josefina reads in an hour. So 5 goes into 12 2 times. And then 5 goes into 20 4 times. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 24 pages right here. And then from there, just pause to see if your answer makes sense. So if Josefina reads 30 pages in 1¼ hours, then in 1 hour, it makes sense that she would read just like a little bit less than that. Because it's still a whole hour, it just doesn't have that extra quarter of an hour. So she reads 24 pages, which is a little bit less than 30 pages. All right, we have other options to figure this out. So if we're trying to get to 1 hour, one strategy would be to scale up before we scale back down. So I'm going to multiply 1 1/4 times 4, and 1 1/4 times 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1/4 is another whole, so this is 5. And then 30 times 4 is 120. And then now we scale it back down by using division. And 120 divided by 5, we just figured out, would be 24. Finally, if you wanted to show this on a double number line, which might be helpful if the ratio table is confusing. So we have pages, and we have hours. The number line starts at 0 hours and 0 pages, and then the ratio they give us is 30 pages in 1 1/4 hours. So I'm going to put that over here. 1 1/4 hours is 30 pages. Then we're looking for 1 hour, which is going to be somewhere over here. And then what I could do is I could scale up by fourths. So we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then 4/4 would be a whole, and right after that we would have 5/4, which is the same as 1 whole and 1/4. And then we just have to scale up by a common multiple so that she's reading the same amount every quarter of an hour. And since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5 partitions here, you can do 30 divided by 5, which would be 6. So she reads 6 pages in 1/4 of an hour, 12 pages in 2/4 of an hour. Sorry, it looks like a decimal, but it shouldn't be. 18 pages in 3/4 of an hour, 24 pages in exactly an hour, and then we scale back up to what it gave us, 30 pages in 1 1/4. So here's the unit rate that we're looking for, and again, that's why our answer is 24 pages per hour. So I hope that was helpful, and that this is starting to make sense, and I'll see you guys later.